itself. The formation of smaller states within the monolith that was the Khilafah allowed these smaller states to pursue their own specific goals with more focus and intensity than could be afforded if they had to constantly report back to the Khalif in Damascus or Baghdad. Another key development was the introduction of Turkic slave soldiers through the Ghilman system. In time, some of these Turks would even establish de facto independent states like Ahmad ibn Tulun did in Egypt. The Ghaznavid dynasty, which is so important to our story, was born out of this system. The progenitor of the Ghaznavids, Sebuktigin, was apparently born in modern-day Kyrgyzstan. He was bought by the Samanid commander Alptigin, who would go on to rule the city of Ghazna, now known as Ghazni in Afghanistan, independently in all but name. In 977 AD, Sebuktigin became in charge of the city and quickly sought to expand his authority. To his east, Sebuktigin raided the territory of the Hindu Shahi, which ruled over an area that stretched from the Kabul Valley in eastern Afghanistan down to Kashmir in northern India. This would begin the Ghaznavid tradition of raiding into India. But the emergence of the Ghaznavids as a true power would have to be left to Sebuktigin's son, Mahmud. Mahmud began his reign in 998 AD and quickly proclaimed his independence from the Samanids. Under Mahmud, the Ghaznavids would become one of the preeminent powers in the Islamic world. A key reason for this was the loot and wealth he gained from his 17 campaigns into India. But before he could penetrate beyond the Indus River, Mahmud had to deal with the same Hindu Shahi rulers who preoccupied his father. In 1001, Mahmud inflicted a heavy defeat upon them at the Battle of Peshawar. Although the Hindu Shahi would prove to be an obstacle until the 1020s, Mahmud now had his eyes set on the Punjab and beyond. An important point to get across is that northern India was ruled by several kingdoms, which at times would compete with one another. In fact, this was a feature of the northern Indian political scene for almost the entirety of the period we are discussing, from roughly 1000 to 1200 AD. And so the lack of a strong central power would allow the Ghaznavids, and later the Ghurids, to pick off the Indian kingdoms one by one. And that's exactly what Mahmud did. Over the course of almost 3 decades, he repeatedly targeted the Doab region in North India, the area between the Yamuna and Ganges rivers. On occasion, he even went as far as the central Indian city of Gwalior. In 1025, Mahmud marched his army across the Thar Desert in northwestern India so that he could reach the Gujarat in western India. There lay the great Hindu temple of Somnath, said to be home to untold wealth. The Ghaznavid forces were not disappointed. There are estimates that Mahmud brought back up to 20 million dinars worth of booty back to his imperial capital at Ghazni. The Somnath raid brings a key issue to light. Did Mahmud carry out his military campaigns in the subcontinent to reaffirm his status as a champion of Islam? Or were Machiavellian motivations the main impetus behind his antagonistic approach? Throughout history, Mahmud has enjoyed the portrayal of a Ghazi Sultan, someone who fought to bring Islam to new territories, especially in India. For many Pakistani, Bangladeshi, and Indian Muslims, Mahmud is seen as one of the founding fathers of Islam in the Indian subcontinent. In 1926, when the Indian historian Muhammad Habib expressed that the Ghaznavid Sultan was motivated mainly by material wealth rather than religious zeal, it led to large-scale criticism from his readers, showing that Muslims still strongly viewed Mahmud as a Muslim hero even 900 years later. But having said all of this, it seems quite clear that the main goal of Mahmud and his Ghaznavid successors in invading India was financial rather than religious. There seems to be little attempt to convert Hindus in India, since a permanent annexation of the territory would have required a large army to occupy it.
अभी ये सबसे बड़ा डिबेट है ना इंडिया में, अभी ये डिबेट बहुत बड़ा है कि तो मोहम्मद गजनी's invasion, they were motivated by religious zeal of converting Hindus into Muslims, into Islam. But what we are saying that the own historians of Muhammad Ghazni are saying no, this is not the case. It was the wealth of India that attracted Muhammad Ghazni. Then how far he is right, that should be understood. वो आगे हम देखेंगे. But अगर हम वो देखेंगे that he had come here to spread message of Islam, that was one of the reasons.
Yes.
But this not the only reason. खाली एक reason नहीं था कि he was also intrigued by the richness of Indian support. ठीक है, जो यहाँ बहुत इसलिए इस चीज का खास ख्याल रखता है.
The Ghaznavids needed a lot of money to run and maintain a complex state and army, and looting India was a perfect solution for that. There wasn't even a requirement for Indian slave troops wanting to enter the Ghaznavid